Will Goldstein here, thekingscourt.com. And again, a chance to click that little button down there and subscribe if you haven't already done that. And there's always an opportunity at this while you're here to check out my music. So if you just go to the About page, you'll see a bunch of links and you can go listen to my music, download my music, buy my music, whatever you want is there. So anyway, this is continuing with the series, World Unity series. This is number 14. And the title of this video is Dreamtime with the Aboriginal. The subtitle could be Spirit, Nature, Deities, Down Under. Okay, so concerning the first place I want to really start with the Aboriginal people in Australia is their origin, because that's disputable. So concerning the origin of the Aboriginal people in Australia, it was generally held that the Australian Aboriginal people originally came from Asia via Southeast Asia, now Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, East Timor, Indonesia, and the Philippines, and have been on Australia for at least 45,000 to 50,000 years. It was thought that these humans migrated to northern Australia from Asia using primitive boats. But a current theory holds that those early immigrants themselves came out of Africa first, about 70,000 years ago, which would have make Aboriginal Australians the oldest population of humans living outside Africa. The first genome analysis, genome has to do with the complete set of genes or genetic material present in a cell or organism of an Aborigine, reveals that these early Australians took part in the first human migration out of Africa. According to the theory, they arrived in Asia some 70,000 years ago, kind of roamed around for 20,000 years or so, and even a new genomic study has revealed that the Australians are the oldest known civilization on Earth. So they say. With an ancestry stretching back roughly 75,000 years. So Australia's first people, known as the Aboriginal Australians, have lived on the continent for at least over 50,000 years. That's what they think. Today there are 250 distinct language groups spread throughout Australia. Their dark skin reflects an African origin and a migration and residence in latitudes near the equator. So my personal opinion, it makes sense that their origins are out Africa. So I would go with that interpretation, but what do I know? So for the Aboriginal, black represents the earth, marking the campfires of the Dreamtime ancestors. Red represents fire, energy, and blood, called genome, a power found in places of importance to the Aborigines. Yellow represents water, and the markings of the back of the great snake ancestor in the rainbow serpent myths. In Australian Aboriginal mythology, Baiame or Baiame or Baiame or Baiama or Baiame, they're all different sort of pronunciations, was the creator god and sky father in the dreaming of several Aboriginal Australian peoples of southeastern Australia, such as the Wanneroo, the Kamalari, the Gurenge, Ero, the Darkinjung, and the Wiradjuri peoples. So now we're getting into aspects of God. So Altjira is the god of the Dreamtime. Altjira, god of the Dreamtime specifically, and takes very little interest in humans. And the rainbow serpent and Yahi, it says and Yahi, the goddess of water and light, used their powers at the beginning of the world to create good things. Marmu, on the other hand, made insects to create trouble for the world. Dreamtime is the foundation of Aboriginal religion and culture. It dates back some 65,000 years. It is the story of events that have happened, how the universe came to be, how human beings were created, and how their creator intended for humans to function with the world, within the world as they knew it. The Dreamtime is the period in which life was created according to Aboriginal culture. Dreaming is the word used to explain how life came to be. It is the stories and beliefs behind creation. Aboriginal spirituality is defined as at the core of Aboriginal being, their very identity. It gives meaning to all aspects of life, including relationships with one another and the environment. All objects are living and share the same soul and spirit as Aboriginals. There is a kinship with the environment. There's no single founder of Aboriginal spirituality. The spiritual and cosmological views of Australian Aboriginal cultures were established and maintained through generations of storytelling and the passing of knowledge from one generation to the next. There's no telling how far back some of these ideas go. Aboriginal people are very religious and spiritual, but rather than praying to a single god they cannot see, each group generally believes in a number of different deities, whose image is often depicted in some tangible, recognizable form. Aboriginal spiritual beliefs are intimately associated with the land that the Aboriginal people live on. It is earth-centered and not God-centered, as the earth, their country, is impregnated with the power of the ancestor spirits, which Aboriginal people draw upon. So they are into some sort of spirit worship with the ancestors. Aboriginal people express and identify with their spirituality in different ways. These include ceremonies, rituals, totems, paintings, storytelling, community gathering, dance, songs, dreamings, and designs. Really famous for their designs. The Great Spirit Father, or Great All-Father, is credited with creating most of the environment and with giving the Aboriginal people their laws and culture. The most common name in Victoria for the creator deity was Bunyip, also spelled Bunjil, a culture hero and ancestral being, very often depicted as a wedge-tailed eagle in Australian Aboriginal mythology, and in New South Wales as Baiame or Duramulon. As for their ethics, the golden rule is the principle of treating others as you want to be treated. It is a maxim that is found in many religions, cultures, and philosophies. As we are much alive, as we keep the earth alive. Anyway, so sacred sites are places within the landscape that have a special meaning of significance under Aboriginal tradition. Hills, rocks, waterholes, trees, plains, lakes, billabongs, and other natural features can be sacred sites. Most popular names of Aboriginal gods. So now we are getting to sort of like a polytheistic concept of their gods. The Wandjina, also written Wandjina, and like I said, Wandjina, and also known as Gulinji, are cloud and rain spirits from Australian Aboriginal mythology that are depicted prominently in rock art in Australia. Some of the artwork in the Kimberley region of Western Australia dates back to approximately 4,000 years. Altjira in oceanic mythology is recognized by the Aranda tribes in central Australia as the Sky Father responsible for Dreamtime. I had him earlier in this. Lumaluma in western Arnhem Land, and that's a vast wilderness area in the northeast corner of Australia's Northern Territory, defined by rocky escarpments, gorges, rivers, and waterfalls, is considered to be the original creator, being Lumaluma, as I said, and have instituted performances of the Mardayin ceremony, a ceremony in which men dance at a secret place and the older men reveal their clan's sacred objects to the younger men and provide all the sacred body designs and sacred objects used in the ceremony for ongoing care by human clan groups. So another god, sort of. So the rainbow snake represents one of the great and powerful forces of nature and spirit. Connected to water, the rainbow serpent is the great life giver and protector of water, which is his spiritual home. Eingana is a creator goddess in Australian Aboriginal mythology, specifically the Jeowin, otherwise known as the Dreamtime snake. She is the mother of all water animals and humans. She is a snake goddess of death who lives in the dream time. Mardayin is the Aboriginal god of death. Eons ago, along with the other Aboriginal gods, he was directed by Altjira, that's the main one, the god of dreamtime, to temporarily depart from the dreamtime and to descend to Australian continent within the earth realm to shape the barren and featureless landscape. Australian Aboriginal gods and goddesses such as Altjira and Jumbong Jul, Mamu, and Eingana first emerge in mythology as the creators during the dreamtime, coming from the earth or the sky to create all things. When it comes to the dead, most tribes traditionally believed that the spirit needed to go to the land of the dead. Notions of heaven and hell, though, were not part of their beliefs. So the idea of an Aboriginal afterlife with rewards or punishments does not exist. Spirit ancestors include the rainbow serpent, the protector of water, Wanchinas, the cloud and rain spirits, and Mimi spirits. And those are fairy-like beings of Arnhem Land in the northeast Karatguruk. 7 sisters who represent the Pleiades star clusters, now we're into astronomy. The 7 Napalajari sisters can be found in the night sky today as a cluster of 7 stars that is part of the constellation of Taurus, also known as the Pleiades. Jakura, the morning star, is the Jean Kamara man, still chasing the Napalajari sisters across the night sky. In Aboriginal cultures across Australia and other cultures around the world, the Pleiades constellation is associated with the story of the 7 sisters. Minyapura Jukurapa is the Matu version of this story. The Manapura began their journey from Rorbon in a big group of sisters and their mothers. In many Australian Aboriginal cultures, the Pleiades are a group of young girls and are often associated with sacred women's ceremonies and stories. The Pleiades are also important as an element of Aboriginal calendars and astronomy. And for several groups, their first rising at dawn marks the start of winter. These dreamings are passed down and shared by many Aboriginal communities across Australia. The Aboriginal people have their own beliefs about death and consider this experience to be merely a transition into another life, and the afterlife is very similar to their lives before death. Those who are believed to possess more than one spirit or soul will enjoy the same afterlife than normal people. When it comes to the dead, most tribes traditionally believed that the spirit needed to go to the land of the dead. So notions of heaven and hell, though, were not part of their beliefs, as I said before. The idea of an Aboriginal afterlife with rewards, punishments doesn't exist. A dead person's spirit could be seen as either residing with or merging with the great creative or ancestral beings. They could also be believed to return to a totemic site that was ultimately related to them. Many traditional Aboriginal cultures consider death to be very natural. For many Aboriginal people, a good death is one where they meet death with dignity and composure. Dying this way implies a further experience of an afterlife. A totem links the person directly with creation time and the spiritual world, sometimes referred to as the dreaming, and with all living creatures in the land of the Gamarlare peoples. Totems define people's relationships to each other and give them particular rights and roles within the language group. Aboriginal people learn about their totem through ceremonies, dreaming stories, and by watching them. The word bunyip is usually translated by Aboriginal Australians today as devil or evil spirit. According to Australian Aboriginal religion and mythology, the word bunyip was translated by the Wamba people of Victoria and is roughly translated by them as scary monster or evil spirit. The Aboriginals have practiced smoking ceremonies for thousands of years. It is when various native plants are collected and used to produce smoke. This has been believed to have cleansing properties and the ability to ward off unwanted and bad spirits, which was believed to bring bad omens. So the smoke chases them away. Christianity has influenced Aboriginal spirituality in many ways, and many Aboriginal people today are Christians. Aboriginal and Christian spirituality can sometimes peacefully coexist in the same person's belief system, and churches open up to this sort of change. Well, that's good. Affiliation with traditional indigenous religion was highest in very remote areas, 6%, then all other areas less than 1%. So the people that are mostly just sticking to their ancient religion are mostly in the remote areas. In 2006, 73% of the indigenous population reported an affiliation with a Christian denomination. Of these, approximately 1/3 reported Anglican and 1/3 were reported as Catholic. So look, that's the fascinating story of the Aboriginal and Dreamtime. I hope you enjoy. So it looks like Christians have made a headway. I don't know much about Islam. I don't believe there are mosques in Australia. I might be wrong about that. It's not a big thing for them, mosques, or so there might be some Islam present in Australia. Seems like it's more definitely Christian. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video and a chance to subscribe. Check out my music by clicking on some of the links on the About page. And hey, I hope you have good dreams tonight.